All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, YouTube? We're back with the Sunday Night Football Breakdown. I got my guy Hamwich with me here. As always, if you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Hamwich, man, happy belated Thanksgiving. How's your Thanksgiving? How's everything? How's your weekend been, man? How's the holiday season been? Bring you in right away. What's going on, man?
Yeah, no, what's going on? Going good. Some good games Thursday. Had a terrible game Friday, and we got another one tonight that's going to be 300,000 up top. So hopefully you had a good afternoon or morning slate, all day slate. Then we get to top it off with this 300K showdown slate. I'm interested in this slate. I think we have some edges that we'll dive into when we get going.
Yeah, definitely an interesting game here. Obviously, 49 is the total. Chargers 3-point dogs at home here. And you can pretty much attack these Chargers from every angle. I mean, even the water boy out there has a good matchup against these Chargers here. But we'll talk through it. We'll talk through it, break it down. Obviously, anytime Lamar Jackson's on the slate, that's definitely an interesting talking point, especially from the captain position. So let's just jump right into to the captain position here. Obviously, you got Lamar Jackson. 18K for him. Finally got his price up there. He's up there. Then you got Keenan Allen, Herbert, Eckler, and then you got Gus the Bus, right? Running backs against this Chargers team. Pretty solid matchup overall. Wide receivers, obviously a good matchup as well. You got a lot of questionable tags here, right? Zay Flowers, back, OBJ, both questionable here. Charlie Kohler, questionable as well. Backup tight end there. But where are you going from the captain position here? Obviously, the only skill position player for Baltimore that is over 13K is Lamar Jackson, all the way up at 18K. And you got a bunch of Chargers here, which I think is an interesting take. Where are you going at the captain spot here?
Yeah, for me, it's for the Ravens. It's Lamar. It's got to be Lamar in this game. Down multiple weapons. Down Mark Andrews, OBJ on the injury report. The other wide receiver, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Zay Flowers on the injury report. So it's going to be Lamar. It's going to be Lamar with his legs. Would be my favorite Raven by far and away. I think he's 18. Yeah, 18K. Number two for me would be just going right down the list almost would be Keenan Allen. And that would be strictly based off of his usage. I mean, we've seen the target 16, 14, 9, 10, 9. When this team gets down or whenever there's a pinch, I mean, you've seen it time and time again. I mean, Herbert's looking for this guy. So it's going to be a condensed captain spot for me, Nate. It's going to be Lamar. It's going to be Allen. And then lastly, and he would be a distant third, would be Justin Herbert. Would kind of be where I would stop. I just don't have much interest in these other guys. I think we can find some value guys down below, and that's why I don't think we need to go down there to the lower price guys. So they would be those three, and that's about it for me at the captain position.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit different than you here. Obviously, my number one is also Lamar Jackson, by no surprise. But my number 2 and 3 are actually going to be two different than yours. It's going to be Zay Flowers, number 2, just because I just think the roster construction, it sets you on a different build, right? Obviously, Lamar is going to be the most popular captain. Then it's going to go into Keenan Allen, probably Justin Herbert and Eckler. Those top four are going to garner majority of the ownership there. What does that do? That creates a stars and the scrubs approach type roster construction, especially with Lamar at the captain position. So if you drop down to a guy like Zay Flowers, wide receiver 1, wide receivers, it's the best matchup in the league. Wide receivers against this secondary for the Chargers here. Zay Flowers, I mean, with that questionable tag too, right now people might be building teams throughout the afternoon here and not worry about going back to them. But Zay Flowers, if he's in there, I think he's going to be significantly under-owned in the captain position. I like skill players a little bit more at the captain spot. So I do like Zay Flowers, and then Gus Edwards as well. Nobody's talking about Gus Edwards. I mean, this guy always has 2-3 touchdown upside. Obviously, I mean, he got the 2 touchdowns last week. He's got 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's at least had a touchdown in each of the last 5 weeks here, and he is just 12-9 at the captain's position. You could see a build where you go like a Gus Edwards captain, Lamar Jackson flex, run it back with 4 Chargers. playing catch up on the other end and just say, hey, Lamar spreads the ball around on offense, right? Throwing to Zay Flowers, throwing to OBJ, likely Nelson Aguilar. I mean, Bateman, he can do whatever he wants. He can run it in, right? Gus Edwards can run ball down inside the 5. Gus Edwards snakes 2. Those guys have the whole offense for Baltimore, and then you get the skill positions coming back. So I really like that as well. And then on the Chargers side, I think my favorite play is actually going to be Austin Eckler here, just from an ownership and a leverage standpoint. He's also the cheapest out of between Allen and Herbert. And we've seen Eckler. I mean, Eckler really gets his ceiling performances, right, when he's heavily involved in the passing game, right? Like a 7 for 90 like he did a couple weeks ago, or even like a 4 for 48. I mean, there's just so much floor built in with the dump offs to a guy like Austin Eckler. You can run on this Ravens team a little bit as well here, but it's just more for Eckler. He's just explosive in the passing game, what he can do for you there. And it gets me a little different than the Keenan Allen and the Justin Herbert. So that's kind of where I am. Sounds like I'm a little bit different than you. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, now that you said that, I do kind of like Gus Edwards. I mean, I was going to have him. I definitely have interest in him in the flex. Harbaugh and the offensive coordinator had talked about, you win in the red zone when you can run the ball. And we've seen the last 3 or 4 games, really since that Arizona game, of them just pounding, their quote unquote goal line back, up the middle whenever we get down there, which is Gus the Buzz. So I don't hate Gus Edwards because he is going to get those goal line carries. If you think they can bust one, which is obviously very doable against this team, I think the rookie Keaton Mitchell is not a terrible play. I don't think I would captain him, but they want to get him the ball more. So I might have a little bit of interest in him in the flex just because he is their home run hitter. And you said it. I mean, you can slice and dice this Chargers defense any way you want. So yeah, don't hate the Gus Edwards at the captain position, and just building teams. While you were saying that, you can get obviously more studs in there in the flex with Gus the Bus at the captain position.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing there. I do obviously have interest in Keenan Allen as well. But I think flipping the game script here, everyone thinks Baltimore is going to win this game pretty handily. We're going to see probably some 5-1 Baltimore builds, a lot of 4-2 Baltimore builds. So just flipping the script, going more 3-3 or 4-2 Chargers is the first thing that stands out to me. So I'll be looking to do that, and throwing Eckler up in that captain's position and throwing the Chargers defense or something in the flex, right? Just flipping the game script. What happens if the Chargers do cover this game? They are at home, right? They cover the 3 points, or they win the game outright, right? Throwing a little Chargers defense, which obviously we've seen these defenses absolutely go crazy on these primetime slates. It just feels like each single day. If someone's playing a defense, I think people are going to the Ravens defense at 4,200. Why not save a little bit of money, go to the Chargers defense, throw Eckler up in the captain position, just build a completely different build in the field, and you could definitely see that pay off big time. But with that said, let's jump into the flex position. Obviously, we got the same candidates up at the top. But one thing that stands out to me, these defenses are cheaper than they normally have been. Chargers 3,800, Ravens 4,200 here. Obviously, the total indicates that, right? 49 total, 3-point spread. Defenses are going to be priced down a little bit. Justin Tucker, I mean, ultimately one of the best kickers, if not the best kicker in the history of the game, 5,400 for him. But Dicker, the kicker, Cameron Dicker, is also a good kicker as well. He's 5K flat. So hit on that. The kickers and the defense is always a good talking point. And then you got some guys down at the bottom, right? Quentin Johnston, Nelson Aguilar, Justice Hill could see some run there. You got some of these guys, Charlie Kolar. What's your thoughts on some of these guys down at the bottom here for value guys as well?
Yeah, I'll touch on the kickers first. And I feel like every time these Chargers in a primetime slate, it's always Dicker, the kicker, man. He is always banging in, 3 or 4 field goals once they stall out. Definitely don't mind him. Obviously, you can't complain with Justin Tucker, just a legendary kicker in and of itself. And so 5K, though, they're pricey, right? We're going to need them to hit, 2+ field goals, right? 2 field goals, a couple extra points, at the 40, 50-yard variety just to pay off that tag. So this Ravens defense is what caught my eye. $4,200. This Ravens defense is lights out. Very, very good. We know the Chargers are going to drop back to pass. They love to pass, which creates more opportunities for this defense, sacks, turnovers. So I don't mind that Ravens defense. I prefer the Ravens defense a little bit more than I do the Chargers, just based on the fact that they're going to be passing a whole lot more. Plus, Bosa is out for the Chargers. Got to remember that as well. talking about some of these low-owned guys, excuse me, is I mentioned the OBJ and Flowers are both questionable. We all know that their number one receiver is out for this game. That would be Mark. What's his last name? I'm drawing a blank on his name, but the tight end is out for this game. So,
Mark
where,
Andrews.
huh?
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Mark Andrews. Yeah, Mark Andrews out for the game. Give me some Rashad Bateman. Give me some Nelson Aguilar. I mean, I would prefer Aguilar over Bateman with the $1,800 saving. He's my favorite receiver, especially if OBJ or Flowers were to sit in this game. I would definitely have a ton of interest in Aguilar at $2,200. Just makes so much fit down there. Outside of that, that would be as far as I would go on the Ravens side. I wouldn't get down to Duvernay at 200. He's just more of a return specialist, not really going to play much. I mean, if two of those receivers set, then possibly. But give me some Aguilar as my favorite cheapie. And then, man, I feel like I've been talking about this guy for the last 3 weeks. Got in the box, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. But Quentin Johnston, $3,000. At some point, this guy's going to make a catch. I don't know if you saw it, Nate. I'm sure he did because you're a Packers fan. But I think Herbert hit him right on the money, and Johnston just dropped it last week. But hopefully he comes around. It's a rookie, number one pick, $3,000. I don't hate that play as a wide receiver 2 or 3, depending on what you want to call Eckler. But don't mind Johnston at 3,000.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown. I do think Jalen Guyton as well. If he's going here, he's cheaper, $600 cheaper than Johnston here. I think he's a fine option if you need to go down there. But Rashad Bateman is kind of where I'm going. I like 4K Rashad Bateman here. This guy's getting end zone targets here. 4K flat for him. They need these red zone guys, right? No Mark Andrews. Lamar's looking to Bateman a lot in the end zone here. So I do like Rashad Bateman. And then Charlie Kolar, $600, right? No Mark Andrews. He didn't run many routes, just 9% of snap drop packs did he run a route, but $600 allows you to fit maybe in like a Lamar captain build, right, where you need some salary, throwing in a guy like Charlie Kolar or a Nelson Aguilar, who I still have some interest in. I definitely think is interesting from the value standpoint. But yeah, the Ravens defense I do think is fine in play at 4,200. I do think they're going to be pretty popular, but they've been very good over the last couple of weeks, right? 11, 14, 6, 15, 14, 6. Haven't scored under 6 fantasy points in any of the last 6 games. 4,200, that's a fine value play there. Chargers obviously haven't been great, but they did have that nuke performance against the Jets. But pretty much everyone we just saw, right? Everyone that plays the Jets nukes from the defensive standpoint. We just got a taste of that on Black Friday there with freaking Tim Boyle under center. I mean, throwing Hail Marys at the end of halves, getting pick 6 to the house, which is that's a whole story for a different time. We'll save that for another. Hopefully, we don't see Jets on another primetime breakdown sandwich, but we'll save that. But it's still Chargers. I mean, 3,800. If this game script does flip, right? Chargers are still at home. It is only a 3-point spread. They could pay off 3,800, right? They have shown ability to make some plays, do pretty well, right? 9 points against Chicago, 8 against Dallas, right? So not the worst play there. I don't think I'm going to get to really any Joshua Kelly, any of those, Stone Smart, Darius Davis, any of those. I think the Darius Davis experiment is over for me personally. I just don't like going there, especially in a game like this. It's pretty much just sticking to the main guys for me: Dicker, Eckler, Herbert, Keenan Allen, which is kind of chalky take personally for the Chargers here, but I just think it's the route I'm going to go. It's interesting to note that Gerald Everett and Donald Parham are only $400 apart now. What's your takes on that? Obviously, Gerald Everett is still questionable here. That's the reason Parham's price is up there. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, no interest there. Parham is pretty much boom or bust down there in the red zone, and I don't trust tight ends against these Ravens. And then Gerald Everett, man, he's been so frustrating. Rostered him a few times this year, made slate showdown, and just can't get the job done. So no, thank you there. I was going to ask you. Neither one of us mentioned Isaiah Likely. He's priced in the 5K range. What's your take on Likely? Do you have any interest in him?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he'll be low owned at that price. Just with Justin Tucker, $200 more. People are going to get up to Keontae Mitchell, OBJ, or drop down a guy like Bateman. So I do think he's interesting sandwiched between the two kickers because it's much easier to click the game logs, click either Justin Tucker or Cameron Dicker than click Likely. Looking at that game log, obviously last week let down. Week before that, he's only had 3 targets in the last 2 weeks since Andrews has been out there. So I think he's fine. It's going to be a GPP lower own play. I don't expect him getting a ton of ownership just due to the nature of the slate, just due to the nature of his price where he's sandwiched between the two kickers, right? So I think he's a good GPP play here. Again, you can target these Chargers through any position, but more importantly, from the tight end position, they're second last in the entire league in terms of fantasy points given up to the opposition here. So do think that's an interesting play. Any final takes on the slate? Seems like a pretty straightforward slate. Obviously, I think the Ravens win this game pretty easily here, but it is showdown. It's a 1-game sample here. You've seen crazy things happen in prime time. Chargers are at home, which does help them a little bit here, I think. 3-point dogs. I really like Dicker a lot. I think Eckler. I like Eckler at just 10K. Because like I said, he's kind of game script independent. Obviously, you like them playing from ahead, but I can argue his ceiling's almost better when they're playing in a competitive or a trailing game script, just due to his receiving upside. So, any final takes on this slate before we get it on out of here?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Ravens win this game pretty easy tonight. Yeah, I think they're going to need to get a little bit different. I don't mind 4-2s on the Ravens side. I talk about it from time to time. You know, if you think the Ravens are going to blow them out, I'm not afraid of doing a 2-4, right? Putting Allen or Herbert in a catch-up mode, if you will, and getting there that way. So it's going to be Ravens heavy for me tonight. I'll be lower than normal for me when it comes to 3-3s. I'll be building a lot of 4-2s, 5-1s. Might even dabble with a 2-4 if I see something I like. But yeah, that'll do it for me. I think the Ravens win this game going away. I think they definitely cover the spread.
Yeah, absolutely. Great breakdown. Overall, I don't see a ton of need to punt. I'm going to try and avoid punting down here to the slow end because I do think a lot of these punts are going to get built or moved into a lot of people's optimizers, right? Because obviously when you got an 18,000 Lamar Jackson with expensive Eckler, expensive Herbert, expensive Allen, Zay Flowers, Gus Edwards, right? Those guys, I mean, you need salary, right? You don't have a cheat code for unlimited salary. So if you can avoid those plays, I think it's definitely interesting. That's kind of why I'm looking at the Zay Flowers captain, the Gus Edwards captain, the Austin Eckler captain a little bit as well in GPPs. Just get a little bit different, flips the build a little bit. And if I can land in a range that rounds out my teams with like a Chargers defense, Rashad Bateman, Ravens defense, a kicker, maybe a Quentin Johnston, Nelson Aguilar, or something like that, and avoid the Justin Hills and below, I think that's an interesting route to take as well here. So that's going to do it, though, for this Sunday Night Football breakdown here between the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, 49 is the total. Chargers 3-point dogs at home here, but hopefully everyone's day. Sunday football is going great. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. We're so thankful to have each of you be supporters of ShipItNation.com. If you are not a member, head over to ShipItNation.com. Sign up for any of the packages. We did add a weekly package that does not come with the Discord, but gets you access to all of our premium content behind the paywall, gets you a test out before you do decide to join for a month, a 6-month, or a yearly package. But for Hamwich, I'm Nadesify. Good luck tonight in your contest. Hope to see those ShipIt Nation logos at the top. Let's ship it.